With RAM prices sitting at record highs and a lot of graphics cards more expensive than they've ever been, you'd think building a gaming PC, or even buying a gaming console, has never been harder. Everything in the gaming world feels overpriced right now. But there's one thing the market hasn't touched. Old Office PCs from like 10 years ago, and this one, it was literally sitting in storage, forgotten, tossed aside. And today, I'm turning it into something that years ago I couldn't even afford to dream about. This PC, it cost me about 30 bucks. You can find these for all kinds of prices on eBay depending on the specs. And honestly, if you look around locally, you might even score one for free. Machines like this are just too old to comfortably run modern Windows anymore. At best, you're browsing the web, maybe watching some YouTube videos. Gaming? Yeah, that's a serious challenge for this thing. But today I'm turning it into a powerful emulation machine using Acer. Now, if you're thinking about building something similar, here's what I recommend. Try to get at least a 3rd generation Intel processor. That's where this operating system really starts to run smoothly. 1st and 2nd generation Intel CPU can still install and run it, no problem there, but performance just won't be as good compared to 3rd generation and up. Before we jump in, there are a few extra things you need to know to turn your old Office PC into a powerful emulation machine. So let's go over everything right now. The system I'll be using today is the Acer Veriton X 4630G. Inside, it's running an i5 4570, a 4th generation processor from Intel, paired with 8 GB of RAM and a 128 GB SSD. That SSD is what I'll be using to install Acer. For peripherals, you've got options. You can use either a wired or wireless controller. Wired is definitely the simplest and most common choice, just plug and play. If you want to go wireless though, make sure your PC has built-in Bluetooth. If it doesn't, you'll need a Bluetooth dongle to make it work. Alright, now that the hardware is ready, it's time to install our new operating system onto the SSD and bring this old machine back to life. Installing this is actually super easy. It's nowhere near as complicated as installing Windows. First, we'll need a SATA 2 USB adapter so we can connect the drive to another PC, like an external USB device. You can find these all over eBay for pretty cheap. Next, I plug the drive into my main system. From there, I download the correct version of Acer. There are a bunch of options available, but since we're working with an older PC, we want the x64 version for desktop or laptop systems. After that, we'll grab Rufus to format the drive and create a bootable device from the ISO file. Once Rufus is open, select the correct drive, choose the Acer image you just downloaded, hit start, and wait for the process to finish. And that's pretty much it. You've got yourself a bootable drive ready to go. Once that's done, I unplugged the drive. While I was waiting for the process to finish, I went ahead and downloaded a few of my favorite games. Now, keep in mind, this OS doesn't support every title out there. So you'll want to check the official wiki to see whether your favorite games are actually compatible. Some systems also require additional BIOS files to boot properly, so make sure you have those ready as well. After gathering all the necessary game files and resources, the next step is simple. Transfer everything over to the USB drive we just prepared. And that's when I ran into a problem. All the files together came out to about 17.7 gigabytes, and my USB drive is only 16 gigabytes. Technically, I could split the files and transfer them in 2 separate batches, but that would take forever. So instead of wasting time, I decided to swap it out for a larger SSD to store everything properly. While that's transferring, I'm going to install the drive we just flashed with the OS. Once the drive is mounted inside the system, the next step is very important. We need to jump into the BIOS and disable Secure Boot. The reason Secure Boot is designed to only allow operating systems that are digitally signed and approved by Microsoft or the hardware manufacturer, like Windows, to run on the machine. By turning it off, we're basically unlocking the door and allowing third-party operating systems, like Acer, to boot properly on this hardware. Next, head into the boot menu and select the drive we just installed, and just like that, in only a few simple steps, Batacera is fully installed and ready to go. The OS itself is pretty easy to navigate. Before connecting a controller, you can just press the spacebar on your keyboard to open the main menu and start configuring things. Now for the controller setup, I'm using a basic wired controller here. Just plug it into any open USB port, and it gets detected instantly. However, since this controller isn't pre-configured in Batacera, we'll need to map the buttons manually. Grab your keyboard and press space to open the Batacera menu. Scroll down to Controller Settings, then select Configure a Controller at the top. You'll see your controller detected. Just hold the A button to begin the mapping process. From here, it's very straightforward. Just follow the prompts and assign each button. I'm mapping mine based on my usual layout, but feel free to set yours up however you prefer. Once you're done, select OK. And that's it. Your controller is fully configured and ready to use, so now the controller is working. There are a few free built-in games I can jump into right away, but honestly, most of them aren't really my thing. So it's time to install the games I copied earlier onto the SSD. First, plug the SSD into the PC. Once it's connected, grab your keyboard and press F1 on the main screen. That opens up the file manager in Batacera. From here, we're simply going to transfer the game files from the external SSD over to the main Batacera drive. Inside the directory, you'll see folders for a ton of classic systems, and some of them require specific BIOS files to run properly. Not every system needs BIOS files, though. If you're unsure, the Batacera wiki explains exactly what's required for each platform. So at this point, it's just a matter of copying everything over into the correct folders. And once that's done, we're ready to play. In this video, we're just going to transfer a few games as an example. So first, head into the ROMs folder. Inside, you'll see separate directories for each supported system. Basically, we just need to move the game files into the correct system folder. Let's start with Game Boy Advance. I'll copy these GBAROM files, go into the main drive, then into the ROMs directory under the shared folder. Find the GBA folder and paste them right there. And that's it. You can repeat the exact same process for any other system you want to add games to.
Now we head back to Emulation Station. At this point, the games won't show up yet, and that's totally normal. We just need one more step. Go into Game Settings, then select Update Game Lists. Within seconds, the system scans the directories and all the titles I just installed show up properly. Now, personally, I find the default interface a bit boring, so can we change it? Absolutely. Head over to the Themes section. There are tons of options available. Just pick one you like, download it, and then apply it under User Interface Settings. The whole process is very straightforward. Anyone can do it. And just like that, the system feels completely refreshed. Now let's test some older titles. As you can see, 2D action games run absolutely smooth on this machine. It handles them effortlessly. If you want to display FPS in Emulation Station, it's pretty simple. Go to System Settings, scroll down to Front-End Developer Options, then enable Show Frame Rate. You can also disable VSync to let the FPS go as high as possible. For 2D games, this PC has no problem at all. But let's push it a bit further and try something heavier, like PS3 emulation. First up, Minecraft. In-game FPS hovers around 10, which is honestly pretty rough and not very playable. Things got even worse when I launched Tomb Raider. FPS dropped extremely low and the system nearly froze. Definitely not a good experience. On the other hand, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas performed better, sitting close to 30 frames per second, which is at least playable. So overall, this machine is great for classic games if you're on a tight budget. You can enjoy older titles smoothly without spending much money. But when it comes to newer or more demanding games, this older hardware definitely starts to show its limits. Still, it's a great way to give old PCs a second life. Thanks for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one.